Make this one fun.
We talking about sex, y'all.
We talking about fucking. In general, do you think it's more mental or physical from a woman's aspect? Yeah.
I think it depends on the woman.
Okay.
Here's the thing, because I know what most people tend to think about women. You know, we all dainty and delicate, and we lead with our emotions and not with our head. And so it's real easy. The easy response would be to say, "Oh, well, for the woman, it's more emotional."
Mm-hmm.
For some, yeah, but I think times are just so different. I think if you asked me that question 50, 60 years ago, I would easily say, for women, sex is more emotional. If we were talking about the women of 50, 60, 70 years ago, like our moms and our grandmoms and our great grandmoms. But these new, that's what I would say for that generation.
I don't know now, because grandma, they were popping up out like one this year, next, third year next, and I don't know if that was a purpose of, gyrating with you down. That's another video. But it take a lot of physical. They ain't have time to talk. They were busy. I'm just saying, just to throw you off a little bit. One of my grandma's 13, the other one 5, 6, and that's before stuff happened, so it's like.
But that's my response to that, and that's what I'm sticking to. But now, if you consider the new age woman, like we'll say the millennials, so that's our age group, these Gen Z ladies.
Jay-Z?
Gen Z.
That's a pill. Okay, God.
I'm gonna make you go play in traffic.
No.
Mm-hmm. But like the newer age women, like the millennials, the Gen Zs, all those. I think it depends on the woman. I think these newer women, they are career focused, career oriented. They just really out here just trying to be bosses, and they just out here trying to go get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they have learned through their moms, the women in their family, and they have learned through just, social media and different things like that, that it's okay to, just want more for yourself. It's okay to not settle with a man because that's what mama did, because that's what grandma did. It's okay to not want to have a baby and start a family straight out of high school or college because that's what they did back in the day. It's okay to throw some of those traditions out the window and say to hell with it, or start your own, or not have any traditions at all. Like that's what these new younger ladies, young women are being taught, and I love that. I love to see that, and so I'm not, throwing no shade at or anything at all. Like I admire it. And because of that, I think it really just depends on the woman nowadays. You may have one who's, yes, like for her, sex is emotional, and she does want to, physically feel good, but she also wants to connect and have them soul ties, which I call them soul ties. But you could just as well, for every woman that you meet like her, meet 2 or 3 that's just like, child, it is what it is. I just want a good time. I'm going to get these coins in like 2 hours. I'm going to get these coins in the morning. I'm going to go get this paper. But you can get down there, you can lick it, we can do what we do, you can spit it, we can we can have our fun. But I'm trying to build my generational wealth. That's what my focus is at right now. I'm not really thinking about a man. I'm not really thinking about a husband. I'm not really thinking about the traditional, family, things like that. I still want to feel physically good, and rightfully so. That's my right to feel that way. Men do it all the time.
So with people like that, I got a question about it.
So I think the times have just changed so much, and I mean it's not a bad thing at all.
Do you think people that are, and since you're a woman, I got a question for you, like, for the women that don't experiment or experience the relationship side of things because they are more business oriented, they on their bag. It's a lot of women out of there, not even that's just on their grind, that just may have trouble finding someone that fits them per se. Mm-hmm. How do you think they're affected by that? Do you think they long for that same intimacy, or do you think they just, okay, I'm good, I just want a bag?
The women who are just really out here being the bosses, mm-hmm. and just really like the CEOs, the entrepreneurs, all them.
Do they long for that type of intimacy, do you think?
I think everybody longs for love.
Mm-hmm.
And with the love comes the intimacy, of course. That's the
Yeah.
assumption. I think everybody longs for love. I think you're lying to yourself if you say that you don't. So I do think they long for it. Now, do I think they necessarily prioritize it in the traditional sense?
Mm-hmm.
Again, no, I don't. I think, like I said, and again, nothing wrong with it. I'm saying all this out of love. Like, I admire all of it. I want to see all my queens winning. I think they're focused on the coin. I think they're focused on the fact that they are trying to break so many glass ceilings. Like traditionally, women, especially black women, have been the bottom man on the totem pole for everything, for voting, for just civil rights in general, for equality in pay, all these things. And so I think a lot of them, yes, they long for the intimacy, like real legit intimacy, not just a one night stand or just a screw or whatever. I think they long for it, but at the same time, I also think their focus is really mostly sitting on just trying to really break the glass ceilings and really just trying to build their own tables instead of trying to go sit at somebody else's table. They're trying to build their own. And that takes time and that takes a lot of work. It's easy to go sit at something that's already been built. They trying to build their own shit. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, like every now and then they need, they need to feel good. They need, they got their needs. They need to be met. And so, they'll get it how they live on that. But do I think, and I do think that they long for, eventually at some point down the line, maybe marriage or, at least a significant other that they continue to build their wealth with. But is it something that they're prioritizing and saying like, oh, I have to have that by 25. Oh, I gotta have that by 30. Oh, I even gotta have it by 35. Damn sure I gotta have it by 40. I don't think they living by them traditional timelines no more. I think they can sit ahead with all them timelines.
Gotcha. So fast forward again, since I feel like I'm just gonna be throwing these questions at you, you gonna spit them
answers out.
I feel
like you're giving me an interview. What about you? Let's talk about it from the male's perspective because like same question back to you. Like, do you, as a millennial male, feel like millennial women, like today's women, do you feel like they truly want intimacy? Because as a man, like, how does that make you feel? Or how do you think this makes like our single fellas out there that's truly, they are truly looking for intimacy and they truly want to find their queen and, have the wife and also, still build, do what you do. Like how do you feel? Like, what's your perspective on like these women today? Like, do you think they're actually looking for the real intimacy? Do you think they just want,
I think, as you said before, I think everybody needs love personally. I think the women, like, as up front, I don't think that's their primary focus, but along the way, I feel like if they find that person that matches them, so to speak, or can, not counter, but basically add to what they already have, I think that's, that women are really looking for that. And the reason I say, for some women, well, for the fellas, I'll skip straight to the fellas. For fellas, if you have that woman that's always on her grind or whatever, I can say that you shouldn't let that make you feel less than, because a lot of guys have this thing, well, I'm the breadwinner I got. And it's actually true, because if you a guy that makes less, typically, in our head as fellas, and, guys can agree, like, everybody don't think like this, but it's like, all right, if your woman making $100,000 and you making 50, typically that's gonna make you feel like, all right, what does she need me for if she already has this money? Like, besides this, it's like, all right, you got your bag, you can buy your own, the typical stuff that guys do for ladies, like, take them out, hair, nails, whatever, in today's time that you do. It's like, all right, if she got the money and does that for herself, ain't nothing wrong with that. But unless you a partner that's like, all right, baby making $100,000, I'm making 120. It's like, all right, I can do this, I can do that. She can do it herself, but it's like, all right, I still am able to provide because I am ultimately the breadwinner. So I feel like that's why females in the role of big bosses, unless you like Beyonce and got a Jay-Z that can bring in that double what you bring in, or at least more than, for the men out there, most, not all, that it makes them feel less than. It's like, ain't no man trying to have his woman telling what you can get the fuck out, like on some cheap shit, like alright, it is what it is. But if you like on some real legit trying to build a relationship, and it's like alright, you feeling like, damn, I just made this money, I know I'm paying this, I got that. It's like at the end of the day, you want to be able to do for your woman. That's just a man. That's it by nature. You want to be able to do this. Now again, if y'all been in a relationship, at some point something happens. All right, you was making this, your woman is making this, but she just so happened to your job, you got lesser job, got fired, pay cut, whatever, and she's still holding down at her current job. That's a whole different dynamic. It's like, all right, fella, you gotta get back on your grind to, get back up. But I ain't saying, all right, you should feel this way because things do happen. But if y'all meeting, I rarely see relationships work that you meeting, woman's making this, guy's making less than, and it just works. I don't see that too often.
So do you think that dynamic, like, my words right? Do you think that, I guess, that monetary dynamic, that financial dynamic, do you think that impacts like the intimacy, like the strength of the intimacy?
It does.
Be it mental intimacy, physical.
I think it's more mental than physical because again, guy, y'all do what he do. If he good at what he doing, he gonna just be good at what he doing. That ain't got nothing to do with the physical aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But mentally, he might be feeling like, damn, I can't give her what I want to give her because if I give it, yeah, she'll be able to do it herself, but I'm losing. I'm not able to do that and meet her same income. So I think it's more mental when it comes to the intimacy part.
You don't think it has any impact on like sexual intimacy? Like, do y'all think it has impact on sexual intimacy? Like, the question I'm asking is, do you think like the dynamic that he just described, financial gaps in the pay between male and female, does that actually affect like sex and intimacy?
Yes.
Like, is that really a big of enough of a deal to maybe turn you off from someone, make someone less sexually attractive to you, make you inclined to not want to be as sexually intimate with your partner, knowing, I'm the breadwinner and he over there ain't making it. Like, is that really enough to change those dynamics?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you why. I watch a lot of these gold digging videos. I know at least 75% of that shit is fake, but at the same time, it's like that really put a good spin on things to make you realize, like, all right, and you've seen them. I showed you a lot of them, and like I said, some of them look too real to just be fake. It's like, all right, you literally got girls that, and there's too many people of today that'll do this. I ran into a few. Like, if you're not, it don't even mean if you actually got it. If you don't have that appearance of, I could do this, I could provide, I could pay, whatever. It's like, ain't no woman paying for no first date, going to no movie, like, let me buy your movie, man. Let me buy you a drink. Ain't no woman starting a conversation like that. Yeah. So as a man, you better have something to at least start it off. Now, I'm saying you gotta, take care of it the whole nine, but it's like, as a man, you're not going into a situation, and a lot of guys do it, but a lot of those same guys get turned down if they ain't just talking about too much. You better be able to keep an interest, but if you don't financially be able to back it up at some point with something, not saying it gotta be steak and shrimp on the first night, but it's like, you gotta have something. As a guy, you got to have something.
Yeah. And I was just curious about that whole money and intimate, money and sexual intimacy dynamic, because, I've seen both sides of the spectrum where you've got this guy or even this woman who literally does not want or need for anything, financial wise. They got all the money that they could ever need, and they might have a spouse or a significant other that is just flat out dogging them out, cheating on them, whatever the case may be. And so it's like, but they got all this money. Like, are they not sexually attracted to you? Like, are they not pleasing you in bed? Are you not pleasing them in bed? Like, how much of that disconnect is tied to the finances? Because money is a really big deal in today's society. We talk about that all the time, having the financial conversations before you get married and, before you move in together, all this stuff. And so I'm just really wondering right now, like, dynamic between money and, sexual intimacy. And then on the flip side of the spectrum, you have the guy or the girl who ain't really, they just don't really have that money like that. And it could, be for whatever reasons. They could just be unemployed, just really down and out. They could just be not even trying to find a job, whatever. But they just, financially, they just ain't where they need to be. But the person that's with them is like, you better not, Negro, you better not even breathe too hard. You better not even think about leaving me, because whatever they putting down in the bedroom is just like A1. And so it's like, they ain't bringing nothing to the table financially. But obviously the sex game is on point, because when you see him or her, the other one is like right there on they tail.
Now let me get on that one. For the fellas, that might work for the fellas. If y'all in that situation, don't do it. Do not do it, because you'll find yourself, and I'm talking from some ways, like, don't get in a situation where you're completely just overpowering financially, because that's not also good for a woman either. And I say, because with power and that responsibility, it also for some comes control. Because if you making all this money and you doing this, all right, if for a tingling of it ain't right coming from the partner, people who got money, I guarantee you, they got the power to cheat at will. Because it ain't nothing to buy somebody else, basically, to be honest with you, somebody that they ain't just truly longing for just to get that same pleasure. That's what caused cheating. And on the fella side, it's like, all right, if you're really trying to be in it, you don't want somebody that's only good for sex. It's like, all right, because if you're not necessarily just working, but if it's like, okay, are you bringing anything? Are you helping me with my business or my job? If you're not working, type thing, or, are we trying to form or do something? That's just me personally, because again, if you get in a situation where you're doing everything, either one or two things gonna happen. One, if you fall, what's gonna happen to your relationship? Because you don't have a backbone, so if you fall, y'all fucked. Y'all both fucked if you fall, which ain't nothing. It is what it is. I ain't gonna say nothing ain't wrong with that. And number two, if you get bored or tired or whatever, then that's where cheating come along. So I think it's a major factor with sex and money to me.
Born with less, but you still precious. Just smell foam in there.